What I do see in these 3 chapters is this incredible contrast between 2 followers of God. The introduction of Abram, later called Abraham. It simply says that he goes from where he was and he follows God. He makes his way with his family and a guy called Lot, his nephew, to the land that God showed him. Their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. What does Abram do? He says, you go first, Lot. You go choose the best part of the land, whatever land you want. And he picks the best pasture, the best land where it's truly the grass is greener on that side. Now, it didn't matter to Lot that the very land that he was choosing was right next door to 2 of the most evil cities in the whole land. Our first turning point this morning is that Abram had possession of great wealth, but Lot was possessed by his wealth. Continuing on in this story, God comes to Abram. Hey, I know that you've given this over to Lot, but I want to reaffirm my promise to you that your descendants will take hold of all of this land. Abram walks in God's vision and in communion or union with God. And I just love how it's in stark contrast to Lot, who simply looks, sees that it's good, and takes it. You see, Lot walks by sight. Abram walks by faith. We see that now Lot is in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so inevitably, the armies come and they take away Lot, his family, and all of his possessions. What's beautiful about this moment is that even though Lot greedily kind of took advantage of Abram's generosity, in Abram's grace and mercy, he comes to Lot's rescue. I wonder, who gets the glory when you win? How do you respond in seasons of success? Even then, when we are rescued by God, who gets the glory? You see, here's another turning point. Abram was grateful to God, but Lot took God for granted. Remember the original promise? God, he'd been doing so much through Abram already, but he was still childless. Abram was faithful to God's promise, but he had not seen the fruit of God's promise yet, and he begins to question God. I got to tell you this morning that God can handle our questions. You see, Abram believed God. Lot, it seems, believed in God. And there's a difference. You see, the difference between believing in God and actually believing God is the difference between obedience walked out in our life. There is a difference between doubt that denies God's promise and doubt that desires God's promise. Abram says, how? How will this show up? There's faith still, even in the doubt. The thing that I really want you to understand, Abram or Lot, it's the same God. Lot was faithful at times and flawed. Abram was faithful at times and flawed. You and I are faithful at times and flawed, but it does not change the character of our God, who is faithful, who is merciful, who protects, who provides, and who loves. You got to know, since Genesis 1, when we were made in His image, it seems like we keep making God in our own image. What if we didn't only run to God in our problems, but actually came to Him in our success? What would it look like to be content in all things? I think it would look like freedom.